Would you rather have $100,000 today or $200,000 10 years from now? That's basically the concept of the time value of money. So there's definitely a premium put on having money today, but how much of a value? And so that's essentially how you can calculate the future value of something that you have today or the present value of some amount of money you have in the future. So taking a different example, if I were to offer you $100 today or $100 a year from now, you'd probably rather have the $100 today. It's the same amount. Why would you wait a year? But what if I were to say I'd give you $105 if you could wait a year? What about 110 or 120, maybe $130? What is the breaking point where you say, hey, yeah, I'll wait a year to have that extra money? So if you want to know the future value of something, you essentially take the present value, multiply it by 1 plus the interest rate to the nth power. N is the number of years. So as an example, if you had $100 now, the interest rate was 10%. 1 year later, so N would be 1, you'd have 100 times 1.1, which would be $110. If you were to take that to the second year, you would have 100 times 1.1 to the second power. So the second year, you would essentially have $121. Basically, it's growing by 10% every year. The one thing you're going to notice is the rate of change. So the first year, the change was just $10. The second year, the change was $11. That's essentially because you're getting interest on your interest. So that extra $10 that you got after 1 year, that also got 10% interest, which was an additional $1. So that's the main reason why you see people talking about when you invest is the power of compound interest and the time value of money. The sooner you can invest, the longer you leave your money invested, the larger the value in the future. That's why someone who starts investing at 18 or 20 some years old has to invest much less money than someone who maybe starts investing for retirement in, say, their 50s. So I want to run through a couple of examples on the computer right now to take a look at the time value of money. So here are the two, well-known calculations. So you have the future value equals the present value times 1 plus the interest rate to the nth power, which is the number of years. And then the present value, so if you have the future value, something in the future, and you want to know what it's worth today, you essentially take the future value and divide it by 1 plus the interest rate to the nth power. So to show you essentially how that works, let's say we have $100 today, and the interest rate or the return is 10%. So we take the $100 and then we multiply that by 1 plus the interest rate. And so it's 1 year, so it'd be to the 1 power, which is what we have here. And so that gives you $110. If we were to take that out to the second year, what I mentioned before, you have 110 and then $121. And so we can just take this formula all the way out to 10 years. And so you can see that each year the increase is even more. And so we can show that right here by taking year 1 minus year 0, year 2 minus year 1, etc. And so if I spread this out, what you're going to see is the first year you get $10 of interest, the second year is 11, then $12.10, $13.31, and then all the way in year 10, you're actually getting $23.58 of interest. So if we go back to the example I mentioned earlier, so let's say at time point 0, we have $100,000. Let's make this look better. $100,000 like so. And the other option is $200,000 out here. So there's two ways we can figure out which one is greater, assuming, let's say, this 10% interest rate. So what we can do to calculate the future value of $100,000, we would take the present value, multiply that by 1, we should do it with brackets, 1 plus the interest rate to the 10th power. So you can see here $100,000 in 10 years at a 10% rate of return gives you $259,374, which is greater than $200,000. This would be a better choice if you could have a 10% return. To go the other way, here's what we can do. So we just take the other calculation for the present value. So we say the future value divided by 1 plus the interest rate, which is 10%, to the 10th power. And what do we have? So $200,000 in 10 years is worth $77,109 today. But so this varies a lot depending on what you believe the rate of return or the interest rate is. So we could change that really easy here since we have it tied to our calculation. So if we change 10% to 8%, you're going to see that this doesn't grow as quickly. Even at 8%, you would still choose the $100,000 now versus $200,000 10 years from now. You can see here the 100K is worth $215,892, and the 200K is worth 92 something in today's dollars. But if we keep going lower, you can see at some point, depending on what you think your return is, which one of these you would prefer. But this is basically the concept of the time value of money. Something today is worth more than the same amount of money in the future. The money that you have based on the interest rate or the rate of return, if you want to bring future values to today's date, you essentially have to discount them by the rate of return for each day. If you want to learn more about finance basics, check out the playlist right here. Hope to see you in those and future videos. Bye-bye.